there are so many ways that disconnection shows itself in
Mm.
our world and even in our life. So, are you willing to dive in? I know that there are multiple steps that you talk about, even within your book, about connection and how that process you kind of walk through, but also how it appears in our lives sometimes and how that impacts not only us, but the people around us.
Well, let's start with this gorgeous structure that exists between both of our ears, and it's known as the human brain. It's been pretty much unchanged for at least 35,000 years. Some estimate as many as 100,000 years. And yet, our external realities have changed dramatically. The brain pretty much has just two directives. It's here for us to survive and to conserve energy. And sometimes that gets in the way of connection. Now, we are social creatures. We have been wired over the years to connect. And yet, there are so many little bugs in this brain of ours that basically causes us to disconnect. Big one is we can't help it. We engage in social comparison. We drive up next to somebody at a red light. We size up their car. We look at ours. We ask ourselves, where do we fall on the hierarchy of cars? We go on social media and see that somebody looks like, oh my gosh, they've got it so together. Oh my gosh. And they're in Hawaii with the happiest family in the world. And they're just like the Von Tropps. They've got it all together and they're perfect in every which way. And my house is just a train wreck. Little do we know that the family has just been fighting and they just got it together for the photo and they resumed fighting immediately after. We never know. Do we to use something from the 12 steppers, they say don't judge anybody's outside by your inside, or inside by their. I'm saying it wrong. Do you know how they say it, Amber? I'm forgetting how they say it, but it's really good.
I don't, but
Um,
you can kind of get the idea.
I'm
You
saying it
don't
very
know.
badly.
Like a snapshot of a moment by no means tells you what's actually going on in the flow of the timeline for them.
Exactly what I'm trying to drive at. Some of the listeners know this aphorism from the 12 steppers, and I am embarrassed that I kind of had a belly flop on that one, but that's part of the deal of being human.
It is.
But let's get into some of the other things that can disconnect us. FOMO, fear of missing out. Patrick McGinnis, who actually invented the word FOMO, he's been on my podcast. He wrote a book called FOMO Sapiens. We engage in FOMO all the time. Like a few weeks ago, I actually had to do something that turned FOMO on its head. I had tickets to go see a brilliant comedian. And my sister told me, dude, this is going to be legendary. You gotta go. And I didn't want to miss out. So I bought the tickets. And that night, I really had a strong hit. I wanted to be with my wife and son. I didn't want to miss out on that. So I chose to miss out on the comedian, and I experienced the opposite of FOMO, which is JOMO, the joy of missing out. And I doubled down on it. The three of us had a really good time. Did I miss an epic comedic performance? Absolutely. Did I decide to invest my heartbeats elsewhere and double down on it and love it? Yes, I had joy of missing out. So one of the things I would ask people is, there can be joy in missing out. How many times have you gone to something because you were experiencing the possibility of the threat of FOMO made you go, and then you got in your car afterwards and said, that was a really crappy use of my evening. That happens to us all. Some other aspects that can get in the way are these little blue lighted things that we carry on our pockets, and they're calling to us. They are these smartphones. Oh, boy, are they attractive. Let's go lose ourselves in a rabbit hole of Reddit or social media or wherever. And lo and behold, my gosh, we've just lost 2 hours of time. So if we actually looked at how we use time when we're on autopilot, we might be disgusted and we say, we're so busy, busy, busy. Yeah, we're busy. But how much of our time are we actually squandering? How much of our time are we using on autopilot? How often on a Saturday morning might some of us, self included, wake up, brew up some coffee, pet the dog, open some snail mail, turn on the TV, get something streaming going, start folding the laundry, start answering emails, look at social media, respond to text, doing all of these things at once. And then when Monday rolls around, we ask ourselves, why don't I feel rejuvenated? Well, the reason we don't feel rejuvenated is because the things that actually rejuvenate us often require a little bit of activation energy. The brain likes things that are easy. It's a cognitive bias. We go for what's easy. And pumping up the tires for my bike and putting on the bike rack and putting the bike on the bike rack and figuring out where we're going to take them, that takes planning, that takes physical labor, that takes activation energy. There's a cost to entry. We don't like that. But the truth is, on the other side of doing something like that, we tend to feel awesome. I have a little measure that I call the drive away test. When you have an activity or when you're meeting with a friend, how do you feel when you drive away after having done that activity or having hung out with that friend? That will tell you a lot. Do you feel taller? Do you feel like, wow, that was a good use of time? Or do you feel smaller? Do you feel exhausted? Do you feel like, my gosh, what was I doing? We want to spend more time doing the things that allow and hanging out with the people who allow us a really positive drive away test.